Good evening and welcome to TV47 Weekend Edition. Now, the welfare of interns in the country has been a topic of concern in different sectors and most importantly, the medical sector. While we all acknowledge the contribution that interns make, of course, in the growth of entities, it's not always that we are keen to make sure that their welfare is being looked at. Of course, legislative presentations as to just how best, we might need to take care of our interns, but that is not being experienced. And of course, the variances that we get to witness, the differences that we get to witness, of course, in how we treat our interns in different sectors is one thing that we certainly need to discuss. Of course, we'll be getting into that conversation on To The Point. It's basically what we'll be having. And as you can evidently see, we have, of course, the guest on standby. We have a HR specialist and interns in different sectors that will help us just get to understand what the situation is like in their specific sectors, but of importance, just how different or perhaps what balance do we need to bring when we are treating them to make sure that they are great professionals, of course, even as they proceed with their scholarly activities. Welcome on board. I'm looking forward to that conversation later on, but equally, it's important that you know what is in the world of news. My name is Linda Alela. I have so much lined up for you after these highlights. On TV47 Weekend Edition tonight.
We have had this fatal accident along this route, as you have witnessed.
4 dead, scores injured after a Ken Silver bus overturns at the Nithi Bridge Blacksport.
Kwenda kushika huyo shemeji wangu, basi mwingine akaanguka. Wa pili tena kuja kujaribu kusaidia wenzao pia wakaanguka. Sasa wote watatu wakafa mali moja.
Tragedy as 3 family members electrocuted at Clothesline in Homa Bay County.
Must live within our means. The resources we have are only sufficient to pay 70,000 shillings.
And we do not have money. President William Ruto tells striking doctors. Yes, we look at that and much more right here on TV47 Weekend Edition. The broadcast begins right away. Our sign language interpreter is Rhoda Nyamai. So let's get straight to it, even as you send us your feedback, and I'll be looking at that later on. The hashtag, as always, is To The Point. Now, the doctor strike has entered its 4th week today. And for the very first time since the doctors donned their tools, that is on 14th of March, President William Ruto has weighed in on the ongoing stalemate in the healthcare sector, urging the doctors to resume work and accept government's offer, as Anne Odida tells us.
I know we have a situation in Kenya with our doctors and interns. I want to implore on them that it is important for us as a nation to agree that we must live within our means.
President William Ruto has broken his silence on the prolonged doctor strike, acknowledging the government's financial constraints in meeting the demands of the striking medical personnel. According to the head of state, the government is ready to pay intern doctors a monthly salary of 70,000 Kenyan shillings, stating that the offer serves as a stipend to the medical interns, which will later be subjected for a period of 1 year before they are employed.
We mind about them. We value the service they give to our nation, but we must live within our means. The resources we have are only sufficient to pay 70,000 shillings for intern doctors. It is not a salary, it is a stipend for only 1 year.
The head of state says that the government is currently spending 47% of its revenues on salaries against the recommended 35%, highlighting government's commitment to reducing the national budget, which is aimed at aligning expenditure with revenue.
We are spending 1.1 trillion shillings every year to pay salaries and wages. We are going to reduce our budget from 4.2 trillion down to 3.7 trillion so that we can live within our means.
Despite assurances of efforts to resolve the impasse, negotiations between the government and striking doctors have hit roadblocks. KMPDU Secretary General Davji Atela, while responding to President Ruto, said that the implementation of the 2017 CBA must be acted upon. Nandi's Senator Samson Cherargei, while weighing in on the matter, echoed President William Ruto's sentiments, urging doctors to accept government's offer and go back to work.
We want to ask the doctors and nurses and medical practitioners, kindly go back to your jobs. We can scale the stairs as we do the camp in resolving in return to work formula na tufanye CBA.
How do we speak if you're still in the streets? So I'm asking the doctors, please go back to your work. Do not allow the patients to die in your hands because of your decisions.
KMPDU on Friday announced a scheduled demonstration slated for Tuesday, April 9, even as the Kenya Union of Clinical Officers, KUCO, reaffirmed that their strike, which has entered its second week today, is still on. Ann Odida, TV47.
Our story forms the basis of our conversation tonight. But before we get to that, at least 4 people have been confirmed dead after a bus rolled at the Nithi Bridge black spot along the Meru-Nairobi highway on a Sunday noon. County Rescue Services Manager Alex Mugambe said that several injured passengers have been rushed to various hospitals. The bus, which was coming from the Maua area in Meru County, had 39 passengers on board when it allegedly developed brake failure. Chichi Josephine now reports on the Sunday crash.
Sunday morning, these were the gory images at Nithi Bridge in Tharaka Nithi County. Accident involving a bus that was ferrying passengers from Meru to Nairobi. Confirming the incident, Tharaka Nithi County Police Commander Zakias Ngeno confirmed that 4 people have died after Kelensiva company bus overturned at the Nithi Bridge black spot along the Meru-Nairobi highway.
We have had this fatal accident along this route, as you have witnessed. We ask upon the members or the family members to take heart for the loss, for those who have lost their loved ones.
The county police boss noted that they would embark on a probe to ascertain the cause of the accident, which remains unknown, urging drivers to be more vigilant and ensure their cars are in good shape to avoid accidents.
We are yet to know is what exactly is the cause of the accident, because that is subject to investigations. And we also ask for the drivers and the owners of the motor vehicles to actually get their vehicle to be roadworthy at all times, more especially the public service vehicles.
Some of the affected passengers were taken to hospitals nearby for medical attention.
These are passengers who are traveling to the various destinations.
In response to growing concerns over road safety, the National Transportation and Safety Authority (NTSA) issued a warning to drivers to exercise vigilance and implement precautionary measures to ensure road safety. Chichi Josephine, TV47.
In the same breath, the National Transport and Safety Authority (NTSA) now says that more than 1,200 people have lost their lives on the Kenyan roads between January and April 3rd. This year, of course, increasing the number significantly compared to last year's same time frame. And as Micah Gungu now reports, mental health amongst long-distance drivers has been attributed to major cause of accidents recently reported in the country. NTSA says the Northern Corridor has a high accident rate, which is why there are so many fatalities there.
In addition to leaving thousands of others with permanent impairments that serve as a constant reminder of their near-death experience, road accidents have caused enormous anguish to many families across the nation, leaving children orphaned, others widowed, and entire families without their primary provider. According to the damning report from the National Transport and Safety Authority (NTSA), 1,213 deaths were reported on Kenyan roads records between 1st January and 3rd of April 2024, compared to 1,146 in 2023, representing an increase of 67 fatalities and an increase of 5.8%. The latest data from NTSA also shows that as of 3rd of April 2024, pedestrians led in fatalities at 445, compared with 379 recorded last year. The majority of the fatalities were pedestrians, followed by motorcyclists at 283, passengers at 259, pillion passengers at 103, drivers and pedal cyclists. NTSA Programs Director Samuel Musumba says fatality numbers increase with the rise in cases of mental health amongst long-distance drivers, leading to unexpected accidents day in, day out.
But we still do the same mistakes that you saw somebody who did that and actually died. We cautioned the driver that right now it's raining. Roads are very slippery. You can't see very well. So just be careful.
When you have a driver who is healthy mentally, then you automatically have a happy driver and you finally have a happy customer.
Speaking during long-distance truck drivers and operators in East Africa training on road safety here in Nairobi Sunday, Officer Commanding the Axle Load Enforcement and Highways Unit Senior Superintendent of Police John Gishohi said compared to overloading cases, careless and overspeeding cases amongst the drivers also attributed to rising numbers of accidents in the country.
Sometimes the driver could be fatigued, sometimes the driver didn't observe the traffic signs. Others maybe maybe there could be the condition of the road or the condition of the weather.
Safety first, safety last. It's with you, the driver. I mean, you are the main road user, so first of all you should be aware of the asset you have.
The primary causes of accidents and injuries were also identified as drunk driving, failing to wear seat belts or helmets, and pedestrians crossing the streets unsafely.
Hizi ajali zimekuwa zimeshuhudiwa hii wakati, nitasema ni fatigue. Mtu ameendesha gari kwa muda mrefu, hajapata nafasi nzuri ya kupumzika, so unaona ile akili yake inakuwa iwezi kafanya kazi vizuri kwa sababu akona ule uchovu.
NTSA warned school heads allowing their school buses to travel past stipulated time frame, cautioning that the law will take its course. Mike Kagwango, TV47, Nairobi.
And to another unfortunate piece, a family in Twere village, Homa Bay County, are reeling in shock following the tragic death of 3 of their kin who were electrocuted to death. The fatal incident occurred when 2 brothers were trying to save their sister-in-law who was electrocuted while hanging clothes to a hanging connected to a roof which electric current was flowing through, and of course due to a wire that was left naked touching the roof. Moige William with more details on that tragic incident.
Grief and shock is what greets you at this home, which has lost 3 of their family members to an unfortunate incident that claimed the lives of 3. The 3 include 2 brothers, that 1-year-old Elijah Ochieng, 35-year-old Isaiah Onyango, and their sister-in-law, 30-year-old Lavenda Otieno, who were fatally electrocuted.
Huyo shemeji wangu hakujua ya kwamba kuna umeme ambaye inakimbia kwa hiyo paa ya nyumba, sababu hilo kamba alikuwa akianika nguo kila mara. Kwa bahati mbaya kulikuwa na chemichemi, manake mvua ilikuwa imenyesha. Wakaenda wakamsaidia, kujaribu kumsaidia, walikuwa na mguu mtupu. Kwenda kushika huyo shemeji wangu, basi mwingine akaanguka. Wa pili tena kuja kujaribu kusaidia wenzao, pia wakaanguka. Sasa wote 3 wakafa mali moja.
Blamed for the loss of the 3 lives is an electrician who is accused of leaving a naked wire that touched the roof of the house where the hanging line was attached to it. The incident happened as Otieno was hanging clothes before being electrocuted, with the 2 brothers coming to her aid only to meet their death.
Ni yule tu ambaye alikuwa anamfanyia wiring, ndiye alifanya jambo, ndiye alitenda makosa, manake wakati alipokuwa akifanya wiring akawacha waya umeme ikiwa imening'inia kwenye paa la nyumba. Na hilo paa la nyumba kulikuwa na kamba ya kuanika nguo ilifungwa kwa hiyo paa la nyumba kwenda kwa mti nyingine.
There's somebody who had been contracted to come and do wiring. And this is a quack electrician. And then he did some shoddy job As a result, there was a lapse.
Confirming the incident, the area chief Jacob Adienge attributed that the incident could have been avoided, alleging that the said electrician was not qualified enough to handle the task given.
Any sort of wiring, matters wiring, we should engage professionals, those who are licensed and those not only licensed but qualified.
Area residents have been cautioned against hiring unqualified personnel for such tasks due to the danger it poses to human life, even as investigation into the incident commences. Moige William, TV47.
Well, pretty much unfortunate. Thank you, Moige, for that. Now, 20 people from Chegilet village in the North KU constituency of Elgeyo Marakwet County have been admitted to Intern Referral Hospital, while another 20 received treatment and were discharged after consuming poisonous milk. Among the affected, 13 are children, 18 are men, and 7 being women. Confirming the incident, Michael Kibiwot, the county CEC in charge of health in Elgeyo Marakwet, stated that the condition of the affected individuals is not severe and samples have since been sent for examination and evaluation. However, the minister hinted that the 40 individuals arrived at the hospital complaining of stomach pains and diarrhea, urging residents to be cautious when purchasing products from shops.
Watu kadha karibu 40 hivi waliletwa hospitali baada ya kuugua kufuatana na kitu ambacho tunafikiri ilikuwa kunywa maziwa ambayo hayakuwa mazuri, na wakaletwa hapa hospitalini Intern County Referral Hospital. Nataka tu kuashua wananchi hapa kwamba wasihofu kwamba situation is contained, kwa sababu wale watu wametibiwa na tayari hata tunapoongea sasa nusu yao watu 20 wameachiliwa kwenda nyumbani, na wale ambao wanabaki wanaendelea vizuri, na tunataraji labda kesho pia wanaweza ruhusiwa kwenda nyumbani. Shida ilikuwa tumechukua sampuli ya maziwa ambayo inasemekana ama tunafikiri ilikuwa sababu ya hayo ama huo ugonjwa, kwamba itapelekwa kwa public health lab, tutaweza kupima na tutajua kiini haswa ilikuwa ni nini, na alafu basi tutaleta ripoti kwa wananchi ili waweze kujua nini kiliendelea. Lakini cha muhimu ni kuhimiza tu kila raia ya kwamba watilie maanane chakula ambayo wanakula.
Bungoma County Police Commander on Sunday confiscated 120 bags of suspected fake fertilizer in the ongoing nationwide crackdown. The incident unfolded as a truck transporting the fertilizer to the ward admin's offices, of course situated at the Kandui NGCDF premises in Kandui constituency, was impounded. And as Wanji Sustin now reports, Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua has assured Kenyans that the substandard fertilizer supplied by rogue suppliers won't affect the food security situation in the country. Take a look.
Another ugly thriller downed in Bungoma on Sunday as police seized 120 bags of fake fertilizer. Bungoma leaders have since weighed in on the fight against fake fertilizer, questioning how the government allowed the irregular transportation, repackaging, and such a commodity. The leaders averred that the shipment occurred during the weekend in a clear violation of government regulations, and the transfer of the fertilizer from the trucks was being done at a petrol station, raising eyebrows by the residents.
Utafiti wa kina ufanywe. Mbolea iliyoletwa pasipo kujua kwa waziri. Nimeongea na waziri fedha asubuhi, akasema hakujuzwa kwamba mbolea imekuja Jumamosi. Hakujua kwamba kuna mbolea ambayo ina unyevu ndani, lakini alithibitisha kwamba alipata simu kutoka kwa mheshimiwa Sudi wa South Bukusu kwamba kuna wakulima wamepata magunia ambayo yana unyevu na sio kawaida. Hii inadhihirisha kwamba palipo na moshi pana moto.
Bungoma South OCPD Wilson Muraya confirmed the incident, saying even as the investigations continue, the impounded truck remains a key piece of evidence.
Sahi hatuwezi tukadhibitisha kama ni gushi ama sio gushi mpaka tualike watu ya KEBS, and most likely ipelekwe katika maabara ya serikali ili tudhibitishie kwamba ni safi na inaweza tumika na wakulima.
Meanwhile, the Deputy President has condemned the distribution of substandard fertilizer to government stores, saying police detectives will arrest persons involved in the scam. In a rejoinder, DB Kashagwa said that the rock suppliers delivered a consignment of 50,000 bags of the substandard fertilizer, putting the fake suppliers on the radar.
The issue of the reported fake fertilizer is a small issue because the quantity involved is negligible. You know, in an exam, 70% is A.
This comes in the backdrop as detectives have since summoned several officials from government agencies responsible for handling the distribution of fake fertilizer. The first group to undergo questioning included representatives from the Kenya Bureau of Standards and Suppliers. Those from the National Cereals and Produce Board are expected at the Directorate of Criminal Investigation headquarters in Kiambu Road for grilling on Monday. Wanji Sostin, TV47, Bungoma.
Now, obstetric violence has been a shocking reality to Kenyan women, where they are forced to undergo humiliating experiences at hospitals while seeking maternity health care. A survey was done by Nguvu Collective Company on obstetric violence faced by women in Kenya, revealing compelling evidence that Kenyan mothers are being subjected to gross human rights violations while seeking maternal care in healthcare institutions. Now, the damning statistics show about 11% are women or women with disabilities, 51% are women from low income and below the poverty line. Obstetric violence as well witnessed indicates that 62% are psychological and emotional abuse, such as disregard of needs and pain, verbal abuse, humiliation and discrimination. 10% are physical violence and coercion, such as pressuring or manipulating women into accepting medical interventions they do not want or need, hitting, slapping. And at last but not least, 28% are medical neglect, malpractice and unnecessary interventions such as denial of care and sanitary maternity settings. Well, despite the marauding bandits that have bedeviled the North Rift for decades now, causing mayhem in most parts in the region, there is the flip side to it, where the locals have begun embracing cash crop farming, majoring on coffee growing as an income-generating activity. The coffee plant is being well received in the area, with most farmers appreciating the crop's good returns. However, a number of challenges ranging from poor market structures to inadequate extension services continue rocking the industry, and farmers are now calling upon the county and the national government to invest more in the area, as Arnold Adidi details.
For years now, Elgeyo Marakwet County has borne scars of a great trouble, majorly caused by bandits who raid unexpectedly and at any cost, with bloodshed marring the headlines. According to the 2019 national census, this area, whose main economic activities are livestock keeping and subsistence farming, has a population of approximately 450,000 residents. This is the picture of troubled Kerio Valley embracing change. Yes, to almost go to... At Kesup village in Tambash Ward, We meet Benson Kibore, a local at his coffee farm, inspecting progress here. For 3 years now, Benson says coffee farming on his 3-acre piece of land has greatly turned around his life.
My motivation to coffee is, of course, to earn a living out of it, to be able to educate my kids, out of it, and to be able to clothe the environment, to protect the environment. But I'm a product of coffee.
Apart from being a source of income for his family, Benson states that hundreds of youth in the area have secured jobs at the farm, keeping them off any vices.
We managed to do around 5 kilos per tree. That 5 kilos we're paying around 10 shillings per kilo from the harvesting of cherry. So it means you can see the direct injection of cash to the community. We harvested around 8,000 kilos. It is telling you something. We injected almost 100,000 Kenyan shillings from the harvest of the coffee to the community.
A few kilometers from Benson's farm, we meet Philip Chebi at his farm in Enin area, still within Tambach ward. Chebi is among the very first farmers who grew coffee here. Despite many challenges that kicked out most of his counterparts, he is proud that he did not follow suit.
Tukapeleka Karatina, tukauza kwa shilingi 5 kwa kilo. Sasa wakati ule, wakulima wakaanza kukuja, wakasirika, wasema hii hakuna faida. So wengi wao waanza kufanya nini, kukata. Sasa ya mwaka huu tulivuna last year, na sasa kwa store. Tumepima na sasa nimepata karibu kilo 500, karibu 600. So nafikiri nikigusa hiyo tutapata kilo 200-300 hivi.
Coffee is a tropical plant which requires specific environmental conditions for commercial growth. Temperature, rainfall, sunshine, wind and soils are key, but these requirements will vary depending on the variety a farmer chooses to cultivate. Averagely, coffee requires well-drained and fertile soils.
We already have more than 3,000 trees that I've done, so I've already contributing to the president's and the governor's agenda of greening Elgeyo Marakwet.
Despite these crucial efforts, the farmers here indicate that both the national and county government have not properly invested in the area, leaving them to grapple with a range of challenges.
Changamoto ya vitu pia ni mambo ya tawa tu. Mambo ya tawa, kupata tawa mzuri, kupata maji, kupata mbolea.
We don't have a coffee union to champion even the allocation. You realize even we don't have the fertilizer.
In May last year, Elgeyo Marakwet County flagged off the distribution of various cash crop seeds to locals in a bid to promote farming and curb banditry. The county executive committee member for agriculture, Edwin Seronei, states that coffee farmers have not been left behind.
Wakulima tunapea capacity building through our ward agricultural officers and also sub-county, ili wape technical knowledge on the issue of marketing. Tunahimiza pia wazazi, the old men, to also give this youth nafasi, wape shamba ili walime pia wachukue jukumu ya cash crop katika kaunti yetu ya Elgeyo Marakwet.
Arnold Adidi, TV47.
Well, it is beautiful to see people going against the odds and perhaps just beyond the limits. At this very point, we want to take a quick short break. Up next will be the sports, as well as that conversation on the welfare of interns across the different sectors. Let's take that short break. Don't you go anywhere.
Na safari hii katika Mfahamu Kiongozi tutakuletea viongozi aina mbalimbali.
Nikuwe na Nisani kama 10 na pia nikuwe menua minibus. Minibus nikoniwa.
Kushinda unaangalia simu ya mzee. Soma Biblia ama ingia kwa washroom ujisugue mpaka nimetoa hivi.
I don't know whether any of my children would want to get into the political field.
Sijajua bado.
Kila Alhamisi saa 1:30 kuendelea.
Join us on a journey through the concrete jungles and rising skylines, where every beam, every nail tells a story of progress and vision.
In every aspect of life, you have to look at several dynamics.
From groundbreaking.
Nowadays with the tech, you can check on different websites or you check online and you can see some inspiration. So at least that one would be a direction already. I'll know like what kind of style you're going for.
To finishing touches, witness the dedication of the hard-working teams who bring these ambitious dreams to reality. The Realtor, Tuesdays at 6:30 p.m.
Na safari hii katika Mfahamu Kiongozi tutakuletea viongozi aina mbalimbali.
Nikuwe na nisani kama 10 na pia nikuwe menua minibus. Minibus nikoniwa.
Kushinda unaangalia simu ya mzee. Soma Biblia ama ingia kwa washroom ujisugue mpaka nimetoa hivi.
I don't know whether any of my children would want to get into the political field. Sijajua bado.
Kila Alhamisi saa 1:30 kuendelea.
Join us on a journey through the concrete jungles and rising skylines, where every beam, every nail tells a story of progress and vision.
In every aspect of life, you have to look at several dynamics.
From groundbreaking.
Nowadays with the tech, you can check on different websites or you check online and you can see some inspiration. So at least that one would be a direction already. I'll know like what kind of style you're going for.
To finishing touches, witness the dedication of the hard-working teams who bring these ambitious dreams to reality. The Realtor, Tuesdays at 6:30 p.m.
Welcome back to TV47 Weekend Edition. Thank you so much for choosing to stay with us. And now to sports. Ringa boys and Kobala girls have qualified to represent Homa Bay County in the upcoming finals of the European Day Football Tournament in Nairobi. Ringa boys defeated Oriwo 1-0, while Kobala girls beats Ogande girls 1-0 at the Raila Odinga Stadium. Speaking during the tournament, the EU ambassador Henriette Genga has promised to work together with the Ministry of Sports in Kenya to extend the tournament to 47 counties next time, rather than just 4 counties that participated this time. While Governor Gladys Wanga says the tournament has played a big role in exposing the young boys and girls, that is, to the world, she also urged the youth that everything is possible.
We want to make this a standard feature in the sports agenda of Kenya. I just need to find the money so we can extend it to all 47 counties. This year we had to limit it to 4, and we will try together with the sports minister and the ministry to see what we can do together with Talanta Hela, the Akakoro agency here, but also the German development program, GIZ, has a dedicated sports football project here. So through sports, we want to empower young people in Kenya.
We're also privileged to have the EU ambassador, Her Excellency Henriette, here with us to watch this. And this is not just a football tournament. I think it really is showing our young people, our young boys and girls, what the possibilities are. You know, what is open for them. They're just not local here in Homa Bay. There are possibilities all the way to Nairobi, but there are also possibilities all the way to Europe. I think it is opening up their mind and their eyes to these possibilities, and that's why I find this very, very important for us.
Now, Kenya Police Bullets bagged the maximum points by defeating Kibera Soccer Ladies 3-0 in their FKF Women's Premier League match played at the Wolves Den grounds. Massingery opened the scoring for Kenya Police Bullets with a goal just after the 45th minute mark as Lydia Akoth doubled the lead in the 66th minute, while Joyce Okuku pulled one back for the Slum Girls before Purin Anyetu sealed the victory for Kenya Police Bullets in the 82nd minute. Meanwhile, defending champions Vihiga Queens stunned Zitex Sparks 1-0, while Bunyore outshined Bungoma with a 3-1 victory. And Joyce Wanjiru is the Leonard Ball overall winner, that is of the Kenya Ladies Golf Union Open meeting tournament played at the Limuru Country Club. Wanjiru tallied a total of 224 gross, while Lily Kanyata was the winner of Division B with a total score of 289 gross. The awards ceremony of the third day's golf tournament was graced by the KLGU chairperson Jen Babsa Nzibo at the Limuru Country Club.
So those are the two competitions that we have, and what we've done with this year, which is different from what we've done before, is we've got the team that is being trained for high performance. What we call them is the national squad. So most of the people, in fact, you see who have won here is part of our national team. So those are the people that are there. What is exceptional this year is that we've included the juniors into the national team as well, so they can play together with the other older players. So as those ones leave the national league, we can have the younger ones playing. I think the youngest one who was here today was a 14-year-old, and Kanana, she was here with us today. So the potential is definitely there, and as you saw, one of our senior players, Joyce Wanjiru, she's the winner today. And she's been putting in a lot of time, and we're even encouraging our players to play the Kenya KAGC competitions with the Kenya Amateur Golf Championships, which is with the men. So they compete with the men on the same level.
I'm very happy to win these tournaments. I've practiced for it, and I'm practicing harder for my golf because I want to go far, because I think I'm still young. Yeah. Then next time we are going to Golf Park, and I'm looking forward to be number one, to beat Karanga and Muigwa from Kiambu. Those are my home team players. Yeah, looking forward.
So congratulations to Joyce Wanjiru, who was the Leonard Ball winner. I wish her the best for the rest of the golfing calendar. And also congratulations to the Modera Ball, the Division B winner, Lily Kanyata. And lastly, the Interclub Plate and Cup winners, Bet Club Sports Club.
Well, Kamit, the hour and to the point is about to begin. That's all we had in the world of news. And as we release our sign language interpreter, Rhoda Nyamai, allow us to cross over to the other side of the studio so that we can have this able conversation. As earlier mentioned, it's just all about the welfare of interns. And beyond that, just how do we create a balance so that moving forward, they feel like indeed, of course, the different entities that they're working in are concerned about their welfare, even as they seek to deliver, as they make themselves as well better. And of course, on set this evening, we are delighted to have one gentleman and three ladies who will help us speak to this matter. Perhaps I should start with the gentleman today and make it special now that he's the only one on set, or we go with the rule, or we stick by the rules that men after the ladies, yeah? The men will come after the ladies. Allow us to introduce Whitney Sarangi, who's an assistant quantity surveyor intern. Whitney, thank you so much for creating time to be here with us tonight. Well, we go back to this other side, then come back to you, Abdi.
That's okay.
Allow us to introduce you, Dr. Abdi Yado, who's a medical officer intern. These are the people who've made us have this conversation tonight. We just get to understand just how different, I don't want to say special, they are compared to the other interns who would argue that, I mean, we almost do so much so in the special sectors that we are in. Why is it that there's some element of feeling special? Perhaps he will tell us some more in relation to what it is that medics do, such that they deserve what it is that they're asking for. Even as President William Ruto says, hakuna pesa. I don't know whether you agree to that. We'll be coming to that conversation later on. On this other end, we are delighted to have Winfred Utoma, who's a former nutritionist intern. Winfred, thank you so much for creating time to be with us. A majority of us will tell you that perhaps we have been interns at some point in time. I mean, just how different was it compared to that world of employment? And last but not least, this one will be the lady who will be putting the last nail, even as we have this conversation. CHRP, yes, Margaret Ngu, better said as certified human resource professional. Thank you so much, ma'am, for creating time. She is also the CEO of Human Resource Management Professionals Examinations Board right here in the country. And so as we get to that conversation, I'm sure indeed her input will be crucial for us to creating this balance. So allow us to take pretty much quickly, we take a short break at this very point. Well, I don't know. I mean, we just need to get to the conversation. Yes, you have your mic, Abdi, right?
Yeah.
What is so special about you people?
Okay.
Medical intern. You call yourselves?
Medical interns.
Yes.
Yeah.
What is so different?
Medical officer interns. I'll first start by explaining who this person is.
Yes.
A medical intern. This is a person who has gone through a rigorous period of studies, not less than 6 years.
Okay.
Others take 7, 8 years. And after that has satisfied a board of examiner in their respective universities. This board of examiners, these are people you can't satisfy very easily.
Right.
And they are later approved by their university senates for graduation.
Okay.
So these are degree holders.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So that makes them a little bit special. We'll be looking at that shortly. Do you perhaps agree that they should be given some extra, treatment, better treatment compared to interns across other sectors?
I guess the interns themselves, the way they just call them interns, as my friend has just said, they are people who they have just graduated. They're just fresh from the university.
Perhaps in their last level.
Yes, their college level at universities. They should be given a place, like they just should be given a place.
Okay. Yeah. What do you make of his argument, and perhaps across for almost all interns now that you have been there past that level in terms of the welfare of interns?
An intern brings in fresh knowledge. I mean, right from the kitchen. I put it right like that.
Here.
Most of the time, if I speak for myself as a nutritionist at the hospital, most of the time it's the intern who's running the day-to-day activities.
Right.
And like the employees of the hospitals. So there should be special attention given to an intern.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. I think it's at this point that I should probably appreciate the interns that we have in the newsroom and across the station today. I mean, they do tremendous work. That is one thing that has to be acknowledged. Most of the stories that you see us carrying here, you know, are done by this very interns. And therefore, I would agree to a large extent that indeed they are quite instrumental in whatever capacity or entity that they are in. Before we get to engage the HR, that is Margaret Ngu, allow us to just briefly look at some of the information that we have here in relation to this conversation that we have tonight. Just who is an intern? That is a question you'd want to ask. Interns are trainees who have signed a contract with an organization for a short period of time. The goal of an intern is to gain work experience, sometimes college credits, and always have a general idea of the industry in which they are interning. Do we have the tab so that someone can take it to the next bit for us? Yes. Who is, okay. Yes, what is an internship? An internship is a professional learning experience that provides meaningful practical work related to the student's field of study or career interests. Internships give students the opportunity to explore and develop their careers as well as learn new skills. Next, or skills, yeah? And the responsibilities of interns, and this is across or perhaps general, performing clerical duties, job shadowing, complete tasks assigned by supervisors or superiors, acquire industry relevance and technical skills. What next? And we also have clerking patients, responsibilities of medical interns. So these ones are specific to the medics and clerking patients, undertaking relevant investigations, guiding relatives and patients with regards to diagnosis, treatment, and follow-up, documenting and updating patients' notes, participating in continuous professional development activities, appropriate handing over of patients, of course, reporting to and consulting with the supervisors. Of course, this is evident based on what it is that we have been told. Before we get to the responsibilities of the medical interns some more, in terms of what it is that they do, allow us to engage Madam Margaret. This very point, thank you so much for creating time to be with us. Just how much are we keen towards making sure that the welfare of interns is catered for, perhaps across and in the different sectors, and what do we require to do to seal the discrepancies that we get to witness today?
Thank you for this opportunity, even to meet with our interns here,
right,
in different fields. First, I would like to agree with Daktari, because the market is such that there are some careers, careers are different,
right,
or different in the market. So if you look at the demand in the market, and then you look at the value for those careers in the market,
okay, they
differ. And that's why when you ask every child who got the highest marks, now we have CAPSEA, but our system, that system of 500 points, if you looked at every child who got 450 over 400, they'll say that they want to be neurosurgeons and engineers, right, but not teachers, not anything else. Yeah. Why? Because this career is highly valued by the market, and therefore even when we are doing the rates of pay, market, very important. The market appreciation, the market value is very important. So the doctors, the intern doctors, I think the president offered them, is it 70,000?
70,000, yes.
But they still feel that it's way below their expectations.
Right.
But when you look at the interns in the other sector, like the ones the government is posting in the ministry and in the MDS, they are given about 25,000, some 20, some 25.
Right.
If you look at the Teachers Service Commission, the teachers, graduates also who are employed by the Teachers Service Commission, interns, it's slightly less than 40,000. So my first point will be careers are treated differently, and that is the way it is. And therefore, and the career of a doctor is a life, you know, doctor is equal to life.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because I agree with one patient today who was calling on, you know, the government to end this strike, who's saying that, you see, when teachers go on strike and the children are at home, well, life just goes on.
And they will come back and compensate.
Yes, but when we lose life, when we lose hope in the health sector, then I think it becomes serious. And therefore, the balance should be the well-being of an intern. I think it's as important as any other employee. And it is more important because, you see, these young people are starting their career journeys. And so it is good that it is flagged off well, so that they start well, so that they are motivated. You see why some doctors, for example, they leave the profession, they go and do other things.
Right.
I think it's because at the beginning, at that internship point, when they are coming to start this journey, it was not done right.
Okay.
And therefore, I would think that, yes, let's strike a balance. Let's give them the best because they are just starting the journey. Let's start them well so that they can have, you know, a convenient journey, an efficient journey, because we need happy doctors.
Okay,
for example.
wait a minute. We'll be coming to that some more and perhaps get to understand whether more than 70,000, what it is that they're asking is more, is too much to ask for, or perhaps it is more. Some more on what it is that they do: maintaining professional demeanor and conduct, participating in tracking of patients, performing any other duty assigned by the supervisor, writing accurate and informative case summaries, as well as benefits of interns across: gain valuable work experience, explore career paths, give yourself an edge in the job market, develop and sharpen your skills, receive financial compensation, network with professionals as well as experts in the field, gain confidence and transition into a job. And what are some of the challenges that they get to experience? And these are some of the things that we'll be discussing this evening, just so we get to understand how best they can be addressed. No guarantee of a job. That is one thing that is the greatest fear of most of the interns, especially those ones that are done with school, and this may be unpaid work. Most of the times they will tell you that, of course, they don't even get transport, and then it becomes difficult for them to commute and considered as an assistant, or they are considered as assistants. These are challenges that are witnessed across. First of all, before we get to just addressing some of these challenges, do you think the doctors are asking for too much, or perhaps the intern medics are asking for too much?
I don't think so.
Yeah, because you work with them firsthand somehow.
Yes. If I try to equate the amount of work they do and what they're asking for, I don't even think it's half of it. I don't even think it can be compensated in some term, in some. And in regards to even the other interns, there is just never too much, because looking at even the process of studies, the 4 years, a basic degree is 4 years, and in between there will be attachments sometimes. For the different fields, there are even compulsory attachments yearly. I mean, the theory put in class needs to be applied somewhere. And the need of it being applied somewhere, it requires that there should be an equitable compensation of some sort.
All right.
Yeah.
And the teacher interns will tell you that wanasema leta hata 22,000 kuingia hapo ndani haraka haraka, because that is how dire the situation is. You are an intern, quantity surveyor for that matter, pretty much not an easy field. What would you make of the request by the doctors and perhaps the space of internship across in your own specific sector and the different ones?
You know, as for my my career, it's kind of different from the doctors.
Right.
Let me talk about now the sector of the building construction company.
Right.
As we all know, it's a male
dominated space.
Yeah. So as a lady, it's also, let me say, it takes, one needs to, like they say, show up, be proactive.
Right.
Right. So About internship, the best, as you just said, internship is like, in order for you to go for the internship, you're supposed to gain knowledge, skills, interact with professionals, understand the work culture. What else?
Yes, I would want to ask, then what is the rush of getting money? Instead of garnering all this experience, first of all, before then money follows. Most of the times I will tell you, do what it is that you can do best, you know, get the contacts, learn what it is that you must learn at this very point, and then money will follow thereafter. Why is it that we have this mentality where most of the interns will talk about money, 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 money?
It's because so one of us has just mentioned, as an intern, you're normally given lots of tasks and assignments to do, because whether the people, the employer, the people around you, they look at you as like you're just there as an assistant. And then you as an intern, you're like, okay, I'm doing this work. Are they paying me? Are they not?
Right.
I guess you going for an internship shouldn't like put it in mind you want money first, right? You're supposed to think of gaining experience, knowledge, like understanding how things work outside school.
All right, let's come back to Margaret and HR policy and basically the system as has been for ages, even before we come to the legislative agenda that is being fronted at the level of Parliament. Why is it that there's this so much sort of push for compensation compared to appreciation of what it is that then one is garnering from their specific spaces of internship?
In fact, the main objective of internship is learning. Learning the real work in the real workspace.
Yes.
Because sometimes in college they have learned theories, theory this, theory that. But when they come to the organizations, that is where the rubber meets the road. So for me, I would say that young people need to know that the learning that you get or the learning that you achieve at internship could actually just set your career path straight for greater things. So I want to ask them not to, Daktari, I'm not saying that money is not important. I'm trying to strike a balance here. Because it is even when you go for internship, when you now have real connections.
Right. Professionals.
Yes, with the professionals, probably you go for this workshop, you go for that seminar, and you meet people out there. And so the learning that you have done is for a lifetime. So I would ask internship, especially the interns, not to look so much on the money, but they need a bit of some money to survive.
Something.
Yes, at least something.
Yes.
So if I was to put that for the doctors, at 70, and you know the others are getting 20 to 25, then I would say 70 is not very bad, but maybe the government can do, the government and the doctors can do what we call maybe a win-win. Do a win-win situation, a win-win negotiation, so that 70 can be raised a bit, but the interns to, you know, it's not about devaluing them. It is a fact that the government actually is overstrained.
Right.
Even organizations,
so they say,
yes, not that they say, I think it is true.
That's not true.
I think it is true, because even the MDs have been asked to rationalize their budget 30%.
Right.
Yeah, because of, so if we are rationalizing our budget by 30%, then we can rationalize the stipend at, you know, about not 30%, but maybe 10%, 20%, so that we meet at the middle, somewhere in the middle. I'm not negotiating for the government, but I'm looking at the social good. At the social good.
At the end of the day.
Yes, at the end of the day. And internship for me, learning experience. It's a learning exposure, exploration of your career.
Yes.
And therefore you are able to, you know, the money will come in maybe 2 years, 3 years, or 4 years.
But
at the
Margaret,
beginning,
allow me to ask Abdi this quick question before we take a quick short break. Abdi, you have been practicing, or perhaps you've been active before the strike, right?
Yeah.
And at this point, then there's a strike.
Yeah.
Don't you feel like you're losing so much in terms of what it is that you are garnering? You know, the knowledge, the experience, the activities that were taking center stage, and now you're probably not doing anything. Don't you feel like deep down you would perhaps wish to just tell the government, bring the 70, let's get to action?
I don't think I can do that, or I can dare say that. But let me first take you guys back.
Quickly.
While you are defining internship, you guys defined internship for the other sectors. You never defined internship.
Instead across.
No, that cannot cut across.
Perspective to it.
It's a general perspective.
If you notice, the majority of the things that I've touched on are largely about the medics.
No, that's for the majority, but it never touched about the doctors. A medical intern is not a student, but that internship was just talking about students and some period of months.
And learning and all that.
And all that. First of all, a medical intern, as per the KMPDC Act, I have seen you took your source from KMPDC, but you never took that definition.
Yes.
This guy is an employer. Sorry, he's an employee.
I hope you would wait for us to finish this so you can conclude. But all the same,
I'm not concluding. It's just what you asked them. Now I want to clarify what each one of them has said.
Proceed.
So these people are employers, as per the KMPDC. So they are not students. They are just there doing the internship, which is a prerequisite, or rather a requirement, which is mandatory. This helps to separate the maize from the chaff, to separate from the quacks and those who are learned. First of all, we got the knowledge and the skills. What we are doing in the internship is just to polishing, something called polishing, you know.
And therefore, you should be compensated, and not just.
I have not even reached about the compensation. Because you guys are comparing interns, medical interns, and the other interns. First, you can't compare medical intern with the other interns because
that is why we are here.
The cost of
fee.
The fee. One who takes the duration of time. Again, at our workplace, can my sister do a 48-hour shift?
No. I can tell you that the media houses, most of the times you literally find running all
you can't
intern. Yes, most of the times there are stories at night.
What do they do?
But not 48 hours.
What do they do?
Unless there's
at the same time, what do they do? They deal with some computers, paperwork, and all that. But these people deal with human beings.
Is that the safest way to place your argument, in the sense that you're going to whitewash what it is these other entities get to do in terms in other sectors?
No, the problem,
focus much on how prestigious yours is.
No, what made me differentiate between that is because you are trying to compare the medical interns' pay with the other interns, which will not be the case.
All right, allow us to take a quick short break, and then we come back on that very note. Remember, we're here to learn. We are equally here to advocate for the betterment of the welfare of interns across all sectors, despite it is that, of course, there's some discrepancies or differences in terms of what it is these sectors actually, hold. And of course, we have the HR here, so we'll be looking at some of the HR policies, and we come back on that note of the challenges on how best then they can be addressed after this short break. Oh yes, after this break.
Na safari hii katika Mfahamu Kiongozi tutakuletea viongozi aina mbalimbali.
Nikuwe na nisani kama 10 na pia nikuwe menua minibus. Minibus nikoniwa.
Kushinda unaangalia simu ya mzee. Soma Biblia ama ingia kwa washroom ujisugue mpaka nimetoa hivi.
I don't know whether any of my children would want to get into the political field. Sijajua bado.
Kila Alhamisi saa 1:30 kuendelea.
Join us on a journey through the concrete jungles and rising skylines, where every beam, every nail tells a story of progress and vision.
In every aspect of life, you have to look at several dynamics.
From groundbreaking.
Nowadays with the tech, you can check on different websites or you check online and you can see some inspiration. So at least that one would be a direction already. I'll know like what kind of style you're going for.
To finishing touches, witness the dedication of the hard-working teams who bring these ambitious dreams to reality. The Realtor, Tuesdays at 6:30 p.m.
Na safari hii katika Mfahamu Kiongozi tutakuletea viongozi aina mbalimbali.
Nikuwe na nisani kama 10 na pia nikuwe menua minibus. Minibus nikoniwa.
Kushinda unaangalia simu ya mzee, soma Biblia ama ingia kwa washroom ujisugue mpaka nimetoa hivi.
I don't know whether any of my children would want to get into the political field. Sijajua bado.
Kila Alhamisi saa 1:30 kuendelea.
Welcome back to the broadcast. Remember, the conversation tonight on To The Point is just about how best we can address the concerns and the welfare of interns to make sure that we give them the best of experiences wherever it is that they proceed to intern and in whatever capacity. On set we have Dr. Abdi Ado, Medical Officer intern. We equally have Witness Arangi, who's an Assistant Quantity Surveyor intern. Winfred Otuoma, who is a former nutritionist intern. And we also have CHRP Margaret Ngu, better yet, of course, Central Certified Human Resource Professional, as we unpack this. And briefly, before we proceed to understanding this talk on who should be paid, whether they should be paid, whether not to be paid, and all that, let's listen into what the President had to say.
Must live within our means. The resources we have are only sufficient to pay 70,000 shillings for intern doctors. It is not a salary, it is a stipend for only 1 year, and then they will be employed. And we want all our doctors, all our doctor interns to be taken in, and that is why we are going to spend the resources that we have to make sure all the 1,500 plus or minus doctors, all of them are absorbed at once. And we have the resources to make sure that they are absorbed at what we have offered as government, because as a nation, we must live within our means. I am very confident that as a country, we are going to make the right decisions. And I promise you that I will always speak the truth to our nation. Because in speaking the truth to our nation, we will be free as a nation from the yoke of debt.
Well, the medics, or perhaps call them the medical officer interns, could be justified to ask for more, to argue that, well, you should not have slashed this in the first place. what are the rules of the game? Do you suppose, or do you feel like the government is changing the rules of the game halfway? And why is it that you're not convinced when it is that the president says that the country has no capacity to give more than 70,000?
Okay, let me first ask a question. The president is saying that the wage bill is too high. How many interns are there? Can the salaries of this intern even reduce the wage bill by 0.000 something %?
Okay.
That's incorrect. You see, most of our politicians, they are misguiding the general public so that they get the sympathy and we appear maybe as the bad ones. Let me put this factor straight that the media doesn't put across. First, we are not even asking for any salary increment.
Yeah.
You know, these people are calling us interns so that they give us a stipend. You know, they are calling us students. We are not students. As per our KMPDC Act, we are employees. And an employee gets a salary, not a stipend. That's the first fact.
Okay.
Number two, how can you reduce the salary of somebody by 91%? Gross was 206,000. After they cut a lot of the taxes, we barely get 130 to 147. They get the majority half again. And they still say that we are not considerate. Do they consider the kind of work we do back in the hospital? These people have slashed the risk and the call allowances. I will work for the whole day. Again, I'm supposed to work the whole night for a call. Again, I will show up for the shift the next day continuously.
Okay.
And you want to remove the call allowance. Number two, you post me in a place maybe like Bagathi or any other hospital where there is a lot of this easily contracted infectious diseases, and you remove the risk allowance. Does it really make sense?
Okay.
So what we are trying to say is that the government is wrong by trying to take these doctors as a scapegoat to slash their salaries, to slash the intern salary in the name of we have a tight fiscal space or whatever they call it.
Okay.
The other thing before I finish,
all right,
before I go there, the same president and these politicians are the ones who are at the forefront pushing for these CASs, you know, the CAS. And again, they passed a motion to say that the president can pick any number that he feels like picking. You know, those CASs, what they are supposed to get, can pay all of these interns.
Okay.
Again, number two, these CSs, they come with personal assistants, a secretary, a cleaner, offices, and all those things.
Hold it.
But they are saying, but these are the same people who are saying on live television that we are at a fix, or rather the wage bill is ballooning. They are the ones who waste these resources by stealing and all those other things. The interns and the doctors at large should not be taken or should not be gaslighted.
Hold it. And the lines are open for you to call. I mean, you can call as much as, of course, you want, and we'll be looking at some of it, the comments that you tell us, of course, that is, or the message beat, but equally we'll be receiving those phone calls. Quickly, before we get to my board back, Madam Margaret, we might not focus much on whether there is money in the country or not, but perhaps the rules of the game. If these interns have been getting this, why change the rules of the game somewhere in between? What happens to HR policy? What happens to the guiding factors of the agreements that are set on board before you decide to bring in an intern, you know, in whatever it is, a sector that then you're in? Would we say that the government is changing the rules halfway?
You see, the government is the employer.
Yes.
The employer can, it is legal for an employer to either reduce allowances,
right,
or even abolish those allowances if the government does not have ability, or if the employer does not have ability.
Okay.
So allowances can be reduced and they can be abolished. Now, if it is the salary can be renegotiated, so that if the two parties agree, they have reached a consensus, then fine. But you see, the president called it...
renegotiated to get them lower, or renegotiated to have it go up?
To get it lower.
Legally, that is allowed?
I'm talking in the context of the situation.
Okay.
The situation where the employer is saying that they don't have money.
Okay.
Yeah? They don't have enough money. Yes. So I'm working on that premise that the government, I'm not sitetei serikali, but yes, I'm working on that premise, assuming the government is the employer. So if something happened, instead of retrenching on saying that we cannot take you in, then you can negotiate. The government can negotiate with them and ask, can you take the 70? So if they agree to take the 70, good enough. You see, again, the president has called it a stipend. But Daktari here is saying that it's not a stipend, it is the salary. Am I right?
No, I've not said that.
It is a stipend. Now, if a stipend, I think a stipend can be reduced.
Okay.
Yeah, but if it is the salary cannot be brought down. You can only increase the salary. You cannot reduce the salary, but you can negotiate and reach a consensus. It's just like the way organizations want to retrench, and they can ask you, instead of going home, why don't we renegotiate?
Okay.
So that so long as the employee agrees and they reach a consensus, then it will be legal. But it will be legal if an employer just slashes an employee's salary without negotiation or consensus.
Yes.
And therefore the question here, I think, should be, is a stipend an allowance, or is it a salary? I think that should be the question.
You want to respond?
Maybe I say something.
We don't want to render the
before
ladies.
I forget. No, we shall come back to them.
Okay, all right, quickly.
Okay. Whatever Madam HR is saying is not true. We never used to get stipends.
Okay.
It was a salary. Okay. Even when you are receiving those letters, it was written you will get this basic salary and the other allowances.
Okay.
So there's no even point of discussing about the stipend. Right. Number two, we have something called the collective bargaining agreement that really guides us or cautions us, So why should the government go against the collective bargaining agreement that the union signed back in 2017? The only thing we want is, can you do this one work by fulfilling what the collective bargaining agreement 2017 is saying, and we shall not have all these other stories.
You have eagerly waited for the chief employer to say something, and the president has spoken.
Yeah.
What do you make of his pronouncement today? And there's an acknowledgement that equally there's some interns who are willing to swing to action and get to service.
That is not true. If at all there were interns who will swing to action and do this free labor or ukoloni mamboleo, they could have picked their letters from the MOH. Up to now, no intern has picked his or her letter. You can confirm. We are supposed to pick the letters on 4th of April.
Yeah.
No intern showed up. Why? Because we are not here to give free labor. Or rather,
tomorrow is Monday. Perhaps we are going to witness them, in hospitals, in different spaces. Does it not bother you that we are losing lives today, and at this point, we are not able to reach an agreement just because you will not take 70,000?
No, it really bothers me that the government doesn't want to listen to the doctors, because the government has this money to post these doctors. So it's not all about the doctors, because even these doctors are human beings. I cannot treat somebody if I'm not okay. If I'm disgruntled, how will I see you?
Let's allow the ladies come. Let's allow the ladies
before I finish, the last thing.
Abdi, let's be fair, because time is moving very fast. So I'll come back to you. I'll come back to you. But then again, Winfred, here we are, and we're talking about you having been in that space of internship and proceeding to employment. What are some of the things that you'd wish to see done different in terms of making sure that the welfare of interns, is well catered for?
First and foremost, I think we don't have a standard policy guiding maybe entry-level employees, or rather fresh graduates. If there was a standard policy that, we don't go below this, it will work. And that will work depending on whether we will stick to the policy. It's another thing creating a policy, and it's another thing following it or implementing it.
Right.
That is the major problem. That is why we see from time to time, every new regime, different policy, different excuses of why we cannot fulfill this and this. I think that's basically the major issue we are facing as a nation. I understand that as a country we are facing a lot, but I feel like the government can do more.
All right.
In regards to the doctors,
the medics,
yeah.
And beyond that, what would you want to see that is done different to make sure that the welfare of you as an intern is perhaps taken into consideration, and that you find it easy waking up very early in the morning and getting into this male-dominated space and shining to become better?
Okay, for me, I would like to say, like, you see, in these companies, interns are supposed to be noticed. Like, when projects are being, when there's a project that has come up,
yeah,
that intern who's in that company or on that space should also be recognized, like, and also be part of the team. Yeah.
All right, okay, that's interesting. Should interns be paid or not? This is one of the things that I had prepared as well. To pay or not, this is a controversial concern, a debate that has been going on for the longest of time, we all agree, and both sides in this debate often present very strong defense arguments. Perhaps this is why the debate was never resolved, has never been resolved. We don't know whether it will be resolved. Well, the referee keeps waving play on. This difficult situation raises moral, legal, and ethical concerns. Despite all the arguments, employers, recruiters must decide just what is best for their specific companies. How can we strike a balance when we're talking about different entities? We're talking about medics, we're talking about engineers, we're talking about nutritionists, we're talking about HR themselves. And I mean, we are looking forward to create a balance in relation to, addressing the welfare of the interns. And I am looking at the recent legislation that we have on board, that a new bill which proposes positive changes, that is for the interns in the public service and monthly stipend. Interns engaged in public services will be eligible to payment of monthly stipend. We're also talking about leave entitlement, that interns will be accorded or will be entitled to sick leave, as well as maternity or paternity leave, and personal accident insurance, that coverage will be valid for the duration of the internship period. And of course, that it's crucial to recognize the value of interns, as it is that Whitney says, and their contribution to ensuring that, of course, their well-being during their training and professional development is witnessed. How do we strike a balance across? Yes.
Okay. Okay. First, I would say that interns have a right to social well-being, economic well-being, and psychological well-being.
Across the country, do we witness that? Certainly not.
Certainly
Depends.
not. Certainly not. What the government does is that it gives the bare minimum, and then employers are supposed to make it better.
Can we hold it at that thought and pick this call from Alex, who's calling us all the way from Machakos? Alex, jambo.
Yes, jambo.
Yes, the lines are open. Wacha tusikie maoni yako as to the conversation.
Yes, yes.
Yes.
Now, I'm here supporting the point being made by Abdul, the medical intern.
Yes.
The government should pay these interns whatever they have been paying them. It's not the time that they are crying of wage bill. Initially, they have not been lying about.
Yes.
Hello?
Yes, I can hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yes, I'm trying to say.
Yes.
I want to support whatever Abdul is saying.
Yes.
The government now should not come in and try to say that they are arguing. They have a huge wage bill.
Right.
Let them pay the medical interns their correct salary. That is not a stipend. I can support Abdul by saying that is not a stipend. That is a salary.
Okay.
And they should not argue about it. Let them pay the medical interns their right amount that they have been paying them. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Alex. The lines continue to be open for you to speak to us, but back to you, Margaret. Yes.
Okay.
I was just saying that interns, they need the psychological welfare, the economic welfare, and the social welfare. So they shouldn't be paid because they have earned they have worked. I think it is the right of every worker who has earned to be paid. And therefore they have a right to be paid.
Right.
And the question now will be, how much should they be paid?
Right.
Because the market treats career families differently, then we may not say that what the medical interns will be paid is what the other interns in other industry will be paid. So it can never be the same because it's determined by the market. However, like she's saying, it is going to have, a standard. So if it's for the medical practitioners, there's a standard for them. If it is for the, HR, if it is for the engineers, if it is for this career family or that career family, then it is going to have a standard. The interns also have a right to, the medical cover. So I agree. I think the legislation coming up is really good for the interns because they have a right because they are working just like anyone else. They get burnout and therefore they'll need to go for leave. They get sick, so they need, the medical leave and, the medical provision. So I totally agree with that. And what I can say is that the government, if it goes through and the government and the legislation is passed, then what the employer is supposed to do is to take that as just the bare minimum or the standard, the minimum standard. But organizations should, they should do better. There are some organizations that are giving their employees even, much more than the law, the law requires for maybe paternity leave and something like that. So organizations should do better. Back to the medical interns. If what the medical interns were earning was a salary and not a stipend, as it was put, then I know the law does not allow a salary to be reduced, like I've said, unless it is negotiated, because your employer can tell you, we are not able to pay. So will you go home? Do you want to go home, or can we share what we have? Then the employee can agree and say, okay, let us just share what is there. So it's negotiation and consensus. So probably then what the government needs to do is probably come back to the table with the doctors and they do a negotiation, and they reach somewhere comfortable.
Well, we're looking forward to that if at all they're going to get there. You wanted to say something.
Okay, I wanted to say this. Mine is to simplify this work for the government, because they have a lot of people misinforming them and misguiding them.
Okay.
Yeah. One, if at all we are talking about reducing this wage bill, let's start from our politicians. Let's start with all these other public servants who earn huge salaries and we really don't know what they are doing. For example, we give our members of parliament a sitting allowance, and some of us, we have sent these people to go and represent us there. Or maybe they think this sitting allowance is just for sitting, because some of our members of parliament even don't talk in this parliament.
That really be the point of Bagay.
No, I have not reached what I am saying. You
better reach fast, because time is moving very fast. Yeah?
Because these people, we have sent them to represent us. But what do? They are the ones who go to these funerals and talk about these interns without understanding the magnitude of this thing. What I want to tell them is, we shall not relent until the CBA 2017 is fully implemented. That's the only thing we are going to say. Okay. We interns, we are not going to pick those letters. We have been rallied, and we are going to rally behind the union until the CBA 2017 has been fully implemented. And beyond that, I don't think we can talk about any other thing.
Let's go back quickly to where the situation was. Let's assume that maybe this stalemate was not in existence. Was the situation better? Any better?
The situation was at least better.
Because of the money, or what exactly?
Not because of the money. You know, one thing, the government was given very many years to really comply with this CBA, but it has not. The union has been going back and forth, doing a lot of indoor meetings without any results. So it was high time we doctors also fight for what is rightfully ours.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, we come back to you, Whitney. There's a caller? All right, let's pick this one. What's the name of the caller? Jambo?
The union has been going back
Jambo?
Yes, I'm John from Nakuru.
Yes, Johnson. Let's hear what you have to say.
I wanted to contribute to make this comment.
Yes.
That the interns have the right to request for the pay that they are requesting.
Yes.
But also, they ought to understand that as there is the Kenyan patient who is in the hospital,
right,
and who requires the service. So, in as much as the interns are requesting for the pay and for the request for their things to be checked, I request them also to understand that there is this Kenyan who is suffering, the taxpayer. Let them understand that they also require to be taken care of. So in as much as they are fighting for their rights, there is also the right of the Kenyan to have the best health care and to be attended to when he goes to that hospital. So my call to them is they should have a seat with the government, let them lower their expectations, let the government come in and let them talk in a round table and agree for the Kenyan person to be treated and to have the services that they require. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. I'll allow them to respond. There's also one gentleman called Engineer Ken who says these doctors wamekuwa too much. Kwani wanaona hao ndio wako na mahitaji sana kushinda all other people. It could be given a chance, of course. It's important that then they take what it is that they're being accorded, and then we negotiate from that level. And next week, we see doctors on the road striking. We will cane them thoroughly and take them to government hospitals for treatment where they will not find medics therein. It's really, I understand. Okay, well, that is different. Let's see this other one. Well, of course, what the president has to say. The country's wage bill is 47% against the recommended one of 35%. The country is broke. How do we borrow to pay salaries? Those are the questions that Kenyans are asking. But somebody else called John says the medics have the right to ask for the money that they're asking for because that has been the standard for the longest of time. The government should not change this. It's like changing indeed the rules of the game halfway. And very many other people who are responding to us this evening. And time I'm told is not on our side, but generally, as we sum it up, what would you expect for us to do as a country in terms of making sure that we advance this conversation? Why do you suppose we have not been here where the rights and the interests and the welfare of the interns is well catered for? Whitney.
I will just say, like, as the topic has come because of the way the doctors have. The doctors intern, let me say that, they are striking and all. I guess they should come together and reason and then just go back to work.
Let's look at the general perspective of the requirements of interns, the desires of the interns. And I know you have said it, but then again, what would be your parting shot in terms of us making sure that the space is good enough and, welcoming to interns across the different sectors?
I'll say let there be a regulating policy on even the working hours, because most times you'll find that the interns report as the first people in any institution. You'll be told, wewe umetoka shule juzi, you're still fresh. So in as much as they're still fresh, they're human at the end of the day. They're bound to get tired. That's one. So regulate the working hours. If it's 8 hours, it's 8 hours. Number two, let there be a standard pay for every field. Let's not go beyond what we've agreed. And number three, maybe we should focus also on mentorship. Many a times when you go for internship, you are left aloof to just go out wherever, so such that by the end of the internship, you don't know whether you really want to be in this field or you're just passing by, you're just fulfilling certain
requirements. All right. Of course, Molly says it is pretty much difficult for interns out here. I am an intern. Sometime I get to the office at 8 a.m. I go all the way to 9 a.m. No transport, security concerns and all that. Perhaps there is more that needs to be done. Quickly, in less than a minute. Abdi.
Okay, so
30 seconds, Mr. Director.
Thank you. First, I want to clarify something.
And speak for the other interns.
Yeah, what I'm trying to clarify is that we have really got this conversation so wrong. We are not comparing medical interns to any other interns.
We are not.
Because they equally have their own rights. But I've seen in TV47, they have posted that I've said medical interns are much better than the other interns. First, you pull that down and you correct with whatever I say.
Please do not hit us when you're... You see, you are concentrating on the conversation and reading what is being written online. Perhaps you got it wrong. You might need to go back and read afresh. But all the same,
I want the country and the larger Mwananchi to get it right. We are not comparing the medical interns to any other interns. But what I'm trying to say, or my parting short words is, for the medical interns and the union at large, we have nothing to lose but the change. So let the CBA be implemented in totality, and let the government, which is on strike, to come to because the doctors just joined them, to come to this table and we discuss.
You will not say anything about the other interns. Let's allow Madam HR Margaret here to close it for us.
Yeah, I would like to say that first, yes, the welfare of interns need to be improved. It is true. They need to be, they need mentors in the organization.
Yeah.
And so we need a mentoring policy for interns in the organization. We need to improve their conditions of work, and we need to improve even their pay. I think some of them, what they get is very little, but I'm happy with the bill that is there. I think it will improve the welfare of the interns. But for the medics, kindly come back to the negotiating table because Mwananchi is suffering for the social good.
Thank you.
For the social good.
All right, we've gone past the stipulated time. It's 34 minutes past the top of the hour. Thank you so much for the immense feedback and equally for the conversations. I know we might not have touched on everything that we would have wished for, but all the same, we say asante, and the little that we've touched on, the conversation continues on our socials. Doctor, or perhaps let's just begin by the last speaker, or acknowledging the last speaker, CHRP Margaret Ngu, HR professional and a certified one for that matter, equally the CEO of Human Resource Management Professional Examinations Board. And of course, we also had Winfred Otoma, Winfred, former nutritionist intern. Thank you so much. And Whitney Sarange, assistant quantity surveyor intern, and Dr. Ab. This very